Hello friends, Tanya here with a video for Trinity stamps, and today I'm going to show you how to make a custom background, or a couple of them, and use some big greetings. I decided to take my inspiration for these cards today from this pattern paper I used to create some envelopes. It's from my stash. I've had it for a long time. It's fun and summer themed, and I loved the colors. So I pulled out my gel press and I pulled out some Distress Oxides. This is Mowed Lawn and Bundled Sage, and together they make a very similar color to the green in the background of that pattern paper I used for the envelope. I'm putting the ink on my gel press, and I have a full-size sheet of paper here, 8.5 by 11, just a nice smooth white cardstock, 80 pound. And there we have the green background that matches the pattern paper pretty well. Now I'm taking the encouragement text rubber stamp background stamp, which is amazing. It's Trinity Stamp's first rubber stamp. And we are going to take Distress Oxides that match the colors of these stripes in the envelope to add some color to the text. So I'm going to start out with Candied Apple here, and I am just inking up the top portion of that stamp. I'm going to clean that off before I apply the next color, and this one is Mustard Seed. Now if I used this exactly the way I inked it up, it would use all of the space on the stamp at once. Well, with 3 passes probably. But I have 6 colors here I want to use. So I'm adding the ink to the stamp, and then I'm wiping away portions of it, so I only have about an inch wide strip of each color so that we can try and squeeze all of them in. The yellow doesn't show up the best, but it's good enough. And the third color I used was Picked Raspberry. Now for the purplish color, it's Blueprint Sketch, which doesn't sound like a purple, but it's a very purpley blue. And then I have Carved Pumpkin, and I'm going to be able to just squeeze in some Salty Ocean. I did have to stamp the orange a couple of times, and I shouldn't have let the orange and the Blueprint Sketch, the Carved Pumpkin and Blueprint Sketch, overlap, because they can make a little bit of a muddy color. That is all 6 of the colors on this panel, and I had cut that piece of paper down to a 5 by 7. Now I decided I wanted the stripes, and I apologize, I somehow did not record that, but I used a stencil to create that pattern, and I stamped over the top with Sharktooth White. Here I'm figuring out which of the A7 layers I want to use. I've got the Modern Embossed and the A7 envelope builder, and I've taken the scalloped panel from the envelope builder and the second to largest and third to largest panels of the Modern Embossed panels, and I'm showing you how well the big and bold sentiments would work on this. I did cut, and I have a pile of already created sentiments from the Big Celebrate, the Big Thanks, and the Big Hello. And I'm going to use some of those. Some of them are hot foiled already and die cut just with the thin die, and some are with the bubble cut. And I'm using my stash of dies from Trinity to figure out how I'm going to create a white panel to go behind the sentiment in this diagonal die cut area. I had taken the text pattern that I had created, and I laid that at a diagonal and used my Modern Embossed die to cut those to create this 2-piece panel. And I'm using the Slimline stitched panels to create a piece to go through over the center, since I have this gap I need to cover. I had cut all of that out with the Modern Embossed stack. So I'm going to glue the pattern paper to a white cardstock base that's cut with the same die. And then I will add this diagonal panel. And when I get that attached with a little bit of coaster blank behind it, I am going to trim off the edges with just a long bladed scissor. You don't have to be super exact. I was using the print on the pattern paper that I created to determine the exact angle of this. And now I'm going to trim that off so it is flush with the edges of the panels that we die cut and glued together. You could cut that with the Modern Embossed panel also if you wanted the Modern Embossed edge on there. And that just fits on that panel. The Celebrate does. I did take the Slimline strips dies and use that to die cut some of the leftover striped pattern that we created to put behind the Celebrate word. That is such a wide panel of white that I wanted to break it up a little bit with something that matches but isn't the same as the text background. And I think that works out perfectly. I had die cut this Celebrate from some mirror cardstock, and I'm going to add a little bit of Barely Arts precision glue to that, and we'll glue that right over the top of that extra strip right in the middle of that stitch panel. Now the strips are stitched also, so that matches nicely. Now I'll add that to a 5x7 or an A7 card base, and that is card number 1. And you can see how well this matches the envelope that was the inspiration for this card. For the second card, I have that scalloped and stitched panel. You aren't really going to be able to see the stitching when this is complete. I'm going to adhere that to a 5x7 card panel, and I have put coaster blanks on all of the layers here. Going to center that in the stitching. The stitching makes it super easy to get that all lined up. And I have a hello here that I have hot foiled with some, I believe that is the Aura foil. And I added a little coaster blank behind that. If you're interested in how the foiling is done, I do have a couple of videos on the Trinity channel in the product close-ups. We're going to add some gold baubles here to add a little more interest to this card. And the pickup stick really makes this a breeze to adhere these baubles to the card. That is card number 2. All done, and it also coordinates beautifully with the envelope. Usually we start with the card, not the envelope. Let me know which of these you like better. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, take a moment to do that now. If you're interested in anything that I've used on these projects, check out the description box below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I have a couple more videos here that you might enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.